First, roar did not come from the battlefield, it came from the sky. Rolling across the Pride Lands like thunder, warning every creature that destiny was about to be decided by blood and courage. The wind carried the scent of dust and fear, and beneath the blazing sun, the land itself seemed to hold its breath. Two kings stood on opposite sides of the great stone plain. Their shadows stretching long and dark, touching the past and the future at the same time. This was not just a fight for power, it was a war for the circle of life itself. One king ruled by strength earned through balance, his mane scarred by years of protecting the weak and honoring the land. The other ruled through fear, his roar sharp with hunger, his eyes burning with a desire to rewrite destiny. The Pride Lands had not seen such tension since the ancient days, when legends were born and forgotten beneath the bones of fallen warriors. Now, history was about to be written again, not by words, but by claws, fangs, and will. The peaceful rhythms of the land had been broken long before this day. Rivers once clear had turned silent as prey vanished into hiding. The skies no longer echoed with playful calls, only cautious wings beating away from danger. Whispers traveled through the grass, carried by meerkats, birds, and shadows, telling stories of a king who took more than he gave, who ruled without listening to the land. Balance began to crumble, and with it, the sacred circle of life weakened. From the highest rock, the rightful king watched his kingdom suffer. He remembered the teachings of the past, the words passed down from generations, reminding him that a king is not defined by the crown on his head, but by the weight he carries for others. He felt the pain of the land as his own, every cracked stone and silent watering hole a wound in his heart. Yet he knew that peace could no longer be protected by patience alone. The crows. The rival king paced like a storm contained within flesh. He believed destiny was something to be taken, not earned. To him, the circle of life was a chain meant to be broken, a rule designed to limit those strong enough to rise above it. He gathered followers not through loyalty, but through fear, promising endless feasts and unchecked power. Many followed him, blinded by hunger and ambition, unaware of the destruction they helped spread. The day of war was inevitable. As the sun climbed higher, the air thickened with tension. Lions aligned behind their chosen kings, their muscles tight, eyes locked forward. Hyenas lurked at the edges, waiting for chaos. Birds circled overhead, silent witnesses to the fate about to unfold. The Pride Lands had become a battlefield, and there would be no turning back. Thor's charge shattered the silence. Dust exploded beneath pounding paws as the two sides collided with earth-shaking force. Roars clashed like thunder, echoing off stone and sky. Claws met flesh, and the ground trembled as bodies fought not just for survival, but for meaning. Every stride carried generations of belief, every fall a question of whether balance or domination would prevail. Rightful king fought not with rage, but with purpose. His movements were controlled, his strength guided by instinct and responsibility. He defended as fiercely as he attacked, protecting those who stumbled, pulling allies back from danger. In his eyes burned not hatred, but determination, a fire fueled by love for the land and its creatures. The rival king fought like a wildfire. Every blow was brutal, every roar meant to intimidate. He tore through opponents with raw power, caring little for who stood beside him or fell beneath him. To him, victory mattered more than survival of others. He believed fear was the truest form of respect, and the battlefield was his proof. As the fight raged, the land itself seemed to respond. Winds shifted, clouds gathered, and the sun dimmed behind rising dust. The circle of life, fragile and strained, waited to see which king would shape its future. Would it be guided by balance and respect, or shattered by greed and domination? In the chaos, young lions fought their first battles, learning in moments what stories could never teach. Some hesitated, fear freezing their limbs. Others found courage they never knew they possessed. Every choice rippled outward, shaping not just the war, but the generations to come. This was more than a clash of kings. It was a trial of hearts. The rival king pushed forward relentlessly, forcing his way toward the center of the battlefield. His goal was clear: end a war by ending the king who stood for balance. Each step he took left destruction behind him. Allies discarded like broken stones. Theirs. Roars split the air as he finally spotted his rival across the dust-filled plain. The rightful king met his gaze without fear. Around him, the battle slowed, as if the world itself recognized the moment. Two paths of destiny converged, and only one would remain. They circled each other, muscles coiled, eyes locked, the noise of war fading into a distant echo. The first clash between the kings was explosive. Power met purpose in a collision that sent shockwaves through the ground. They struck, fell, rose again, neither willing to yield. Each blow told a story, one of hunger for control, the other of sacrifice for harmony. Blood stained the dust, but still they fought. The rival king taunted with every strike, mocking the idea of balance, calling it weakness. He claimed the world belonged to those strong enough to take it. The rightful king answered not with words, but with resilience, rising each time he was knocked down, driven by something deeper than pride. Around them, the battle continued, but all eyes were drawn to the center. The outcome of this fight would decide everything. If fear won, the circle of life would shatter. If balance prevailed, the land might yet heal. Assess. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the battlefield. Both kings slowed, exhaustion weighing heavy on their bodies. Yet neither could stop. Too much depended on this moment. The Pride Lands waited, silent and wounded, for the final decision. And as the sky darkened and the wind howled through the grass, Thor entered its most dangerous phase, where strength alone would not be enough, and destiny would demand its final price. The wind cut sharply across the battlefield as the two kings broke apart, their chests heaving, their eyes never leaving one another. Around them, the war seemed to slow, as if the Pride Lands itself understood that everything now depended on this final struggle. Dust settled slowly, revealing scars carved into the earth. Marks of a conflict that would be remembered long after the blood was washed away by rain. The rival king lunged first, summoning the last of his fury. His roar was loud, but it lacked the certainty it once carried. Doubt crept into his movements, subtle but deadly. He had taken much, destroyed much, but for the first time, he felt the weight of what he had broken. The rightful king felt it too, not as weakness, but as resolve. He stepped forward, meeting force with focus, chaos with clarity. They clashed again, claws locking, muscles straining as neither refused to yield. Pain surged through their bodies, yet neither retreated. The rival king fought to prove dominance, to silence the growing fear that power alone was not enough. The rightful king fought to protect a future he could almost see, a land healed, a pride united, a circle of life restored. As they struggled, memories flashed through the rightful king's mind. The teachings of elders, the laughter of cubs, the promise of dawn over the Pride Lands. He remembered why kings existed in the first place. Not to rule above others, but to stand among them, to carry the burden so others could live in peace. With every breath, that truth fueled him. The rival king snarled, sensing his control slipping. He struck harder, recklessly, driven by desperation. His attacks were wild now, powerful but unfocused. Each missed strike drained him further, each roar echoing hollow against the stones. He had built his reign on fear, and now fear was all he had left. The rightful king seized the moment, with a surge of strength born not of anger, but of purpose. He forced the rival king back. Step by step, he pushed him toward the edge of the great stone rise overlooking the battlefield. The ground beneath them cracked and shifted, as if the land itself was choosing a side. Below, the fighting began to falter. Lions slowed, watching as destiny unfolded before their eyes. Some dropped their weapons of claw and fang, realizing that this war was never truly theirs. Others continued to fight out of habit, unaware that the outcome was already being decided above them. The rival king slipped, his footing unstable on the fractured stone. For the first time, fear was clear in his eyes, raw and unmasked. He looked not like a ruler, but like a creature cornered by his own choices. He growled, threatening, pleading, raging all at once, claiming the throne was his by right of strength. The rightful king stood tall, battered but unbroken. He did not roar in triumph. Instead, his voice was calm, steady, carrying across the battlefield. He spoke of balance, of responsibility, of the circle of life that bound all creatures together. He reminded his enemy that kingship was not claimed through destruction, but earned through protection. For a brief moment, silence fell. Even the wind seemed to pause. The rival king hesitated, caught between surrender and pride. That hesitation was his undoing. With a final, desperate lunge, he attacked again, choosing power over wisdom. The rightful king responded swiftly. Their bodies collided one last time, but this time the outcome was clear. With a powerful motion, he deflected the attack and sent the rival king tumbling backward. The stone gave way beneath him, and with a final roar, filled more with regret than rage, the rival king fell, disappearing into the shadows below. The battlefield froze. Then, slowly, the tension released. The war was over. The rightful king stood alone on the rise, the wind lifting his mane as the sun broke through the clouds. Light poured across the Pride Lands, illuminating the scars of battle, but also the promise of healing. One by one, the lions bowed their heads, not in fear, but in recognition. The circle of life had endured. Across the land, signs of change began immediately. The wind softened, carrying away dust and smoke. Birds returned to the sky, their calls tentative at first, then joyful. The land breathed again, as if freed from a long-held burden. The rightful king descended from the rise and walked among his pride. He helped the wounded, comforted the frightened, and honored the fallen. He did not celebrate victory because he understood the cost. A true king remembers not just the triumph, but the sacrifice it required. In the days that followed, the Pride Lands began to heal. Water returned to dry rivers, grass pushed through cracked earth, and prey emerged from hiding. Balance slowly restored itself, guided by a ruler who listened to the land and its creatures. Stories of the war spread across the kingdom, not tales of bloodshed, but of a moment when destiny was decided by choice, not force alone. Cubs gathered to hear how two kings fought, and how one chose to protect the circle of life rather than dominate it. These stories became lessons, reminders of what leadership truly meant. The rightful king often returned to the Great Stone Rise, standing where the final battle took place, too. He did not look down with pride, but with reflection. He knew that peace was not permanent, that balance required constant care. Yet he also knew that as long as kings remembered their purpose, the circle of life would endure. As the sun set each evening, casting golden light across the Pride Lands, the king would lift his head and roar. This roar was not a warning, not a challenge, but a promise. A promise that the land would be protected, that the weak would not be forgotten, and that destiny would always be guided by balance. And so, the war became legend. A story passed from generation to generation, reminding all who heard it that true power is not found in taking, but in giving. That destiny is not seized through fear, but shaped through courage and compassion. The Pride Lands thrived once more, not because a king had won a battle, but because the circle of life had been honored. And in the echoes of that final roar, the land remembered that even in the darkest times, balance could still be restored, and destiny could still be decided by the heart of a true king.